Intel is just a kind of a pedestrian in the data center. They're in the crowd watching the play go off. They're not participating. They're selling CPUs at the data center, but the big action is in these AI clusters and the power supplies and all the networking, and they're not participating in that. So they're watching it, but they're not in it. And that's one of the problems they're dealing with in GPUs and AI chips. Increasingly on the calls over the last 2 years, 3 years especially, you've seen more talk about government, the United States government supporting Intel and giving them grants and giving them tax credits and helping them out with, insourcing of some of their fabs. This is a symptom of the problem. The symptom is they're relying on federal funding to save them. If there were an independent company and not as large as they would, they've already been in a lot more trouble than they already are. That isn't going to save Intel. And the last place on earth you want to take money if you're looking at figuring things out and moving quickly is from the government. I mean, we could do a 30-minute show just on all the disasters the government is invested in that didn't get off the ground to begin with. So it isn't. It's just cash. It's just cash. It's not going to help them. Their strategy needs to change, and so does their culture. And the government isn't going to do that.
It's not the same as it works in China. Edward, before we go, do want to get your sense on this whole DeepSeek mania, and what do you make of it?
Yeah. So if you take the data they've provided at face value, and there's an element of the analysts who don't necessarily believe the training data, but let's just accept that that's the case. It doesn't line up with anything else. So, but then their focus is to be very efficient. But if you dig into the papers that they've published on both of these models, it's an open source. You can look at all this stuff. You can see right away that they've gotten savings that really won't translate into the bigger AI market. If I were to characterize AI for you and all the hype and what it's really coming from, it's coming from ever larger large language models. They're huge and they're getting large fast, right? And those can only be run on the biggest data centers. They're done by Google. They're done by Meta primarily. OpenAI does them also. And what DeepSeek did was take the results of that model and use that to train theirs. And they did a lot of work before they even got their model training to try and improve things. So if you look at the thing holistically, it is a breakthrough. It's very clever. It's a great idea. People are going to use it, but it doesn't address the core of the AI market. AI right now isn't as intelligent as people think it is. If you dig a little bit, you'll see all the problems it's got, and it makes up stuff, it hallucinates, it does all sorts of other things. They think that it can get better, but it's only going to get better through these very large models getting much larger. And the only way to really do that is to run them on the bigger cluster. So the reaction you saw, was it this week? I can't remember anymore. This week or last week was way over the top for the data that's provided. But we don't need to guess. Meta and Google are on it. It's an open source thing. They're going to test it. They're going to figure out what they have, what they don't have, and you're going to hear about it. But my feeling is, from looking at all the AI chips for the last 10 years and all the initiatives and most of the large language models, it's clever, but it's not earth-shattering, I don't think.